Hello, everyone. I'm going to go wait a few minutes before I go and start going over my book, but I'm seeing all of the comments, so thank you all for watching. I guess to introduce this, I'm in Portfolio 4. I've been in Texas Creative for 4 semesters now. And I've known about Texas Creative ever since I was a high school student, actually. So I've always been wanting to be a part of the program. And definitely my past 4 semesters here have been some of the most memorable times of my life. And I am so excited to be in this program. And yeah, I'll just go and wait a little time for people to trickle in. I'm seeing some names in the comments. Thank you guys for all coming, especially people who have already graduated and everything and still watching the streams. That means a lot. But yeah, super cool. So I'll go and wait maybe one more minute. But we can look at my about page before we get started. Hopefully you guys are all hearing me okay. Doesn't seem like anyone's saying anything bad, which is good. But yes, I am an art director. I like grocery stores. I like grass, which explains my website. I also do radio DJing, and I kind of go through all that in my extras tab. So yeah, but first, now that I feel like gotten enough people to trickle in, let's go into my actual ads. So this is how my site is laid out, but I'm actually going to show one that's not currently on my site yet first. And if you guys were able to catch the stream this morning, you already saw this one. But this is for Barclays, which is a banking app. And I did this with a dear copywriter who I believe is in the chat. But I did it with Patrick Tran. He already had his live stream this morning that went swimmingly. And basically what Barclays is about and what they're asking from us is how do we kind of bridge the gap between money and mental health. So the way, oops, sorry about that, something fell. Little technical difficulties or physical difficulties. Oh, I think now technical too. Okay, all right, no, we're good. Okay, so Barclays is a banking app. And how we kind of tackled this is how do we bridge the gap between money and mental health? And we thought an easy way to track this just by focusing on kind of how you're feeling in that moment. So we kind of tackled this one situation and we entitled that Money Moods. So I'm going to read kind of the situation that Patrick put down. So we tend to think that moods are merely reactions to things that happen to us. But when we only see them that way, we can miss patterns that help us better understand ourselves. So again, just trying to raise awareness of how, your mental health and being aware of it can lead to smarter spending. So introducing Money Moods for the Barclays mobile banking app, a new feature that builds a bridge between money and mental health by tracking how certain transactions affect your mood. So we created this scale. So it ranges from sad to happy, starts off in this kind of teardrop shape, and then kind of goes into that pointy happy visual. So yeah, sad, discontent, indifferent, satisfied, and happy. So how this works is basically like a mood tracker. So if you make a purchase or when a transaction is made, the app will prompt you to input how it made you feel. So how did your purchase at Target make you feel? Satisfied. How are you feeling about yesterday's purchase or maybe a month's purchase ago? And depending on the size of the purchase, it'll follow you up after a scalable time frame. And then it'll also ask you things like, what's something you did today that made you happy? So maybe going on a walk made you happy. And this is to kind of account recommended activities to do, after you make certain transactions that maybe you're less happy with. So that leads us to the digest. So the app will continuously compile your data at the end of every week to give you a digest that's a comprehensible look at what it's noticed. So as you can see in the first slide here, it says your week. So it's kind of showing this aggregate mood you've been feeling. So maybe that week you were feeling pretty indifferent about your purchases. And it recognizes these patterns and it kind of gives you suggestions on what to do with it. So retail therapy isn't therapeutic for too long. And again, Patrick wrote these lines. He's an amazing copywriter. We've noticed a pattern between retail spending and future unhappiness. If you're going to spend these categories, spend in these categories. Health and wellness and home improvement seem to give you longer lasting satisfaction. And then it would also say things like, oh, maybe getting your fix could build up your savings too. Buying coffee and adding to your savings regularly make you happy. For every coffee purchase, would you like to round up the dollar and add to savings? So it's like kind of giving you these like actionable things to do, knowing these different patterns. It also encourages you by sending push notifications. So it's like, we've noticed a decrease in average amount spent per week and an increase in overall mood, keep it up. Simple things like that. And then you also have an at a glance. So this is kind of this way to kind of see how different payments kind of affect your moods in an aggregate setting. So like getting dessert really makes you happy, but maybe buying clothes tend to make you sad. And the goal is kind of to keep all of these different purchases, or keep the ones that are green, and the ones that like are blue to like kind of get them up into the scale, or maybe when you spend less on them, they'll disappear as well. So yeah, the wrap up of that is just a way to make these problems visible and ensure that you have tools to help navigate and resist that cycle that you might be in before. So we are going to go back to my book, and I'm actually going to show a campaign that was just shown right before me. It's actually one of my favorite campaigns of all time. I'm looking at the stream right now too. Oh, thank you guys for coming. Oh, you guys are all so nice. I'm seeing so many kind comments and also people and everything. But yeah, so I'm gonna go into Open Table, which is probably one of my favorite campaigns I've done. I did this with Weston, who streamed right before me. So if you guys are unfamiliar with what Open Table is, it is a service where you can make reservations for different restaurants. And we thought, like, as you would book a destination, like you would want to do the same with your restaurant. Like you want to treat your restaurant as a destination and book your bite. And this one was particularly really fun because, as mentioned before, we did all of this food photography on our own. And a reason why it's a favorite of mine is because I really enjoy kind of the detailed nature of even something as real as food being a collage that you kind of like mold together into something that looks something like this. Just a very fun campaign, one of my first that I still really like. We also had digital departure signs that would be live. So they would be at like airport gates or bus stops and downtown hotspots that would feature interactive boards similar to airport departure signs where you can check availability of participating Open Table restaurants in their area. I'm also looking at the comments too. Thank you guys again. Okay, so for coasters, yeah, patrons can have a drink during post-work happy hour and learn more about Open Table, kind of playing off of our print ads, like we said before. So let's go home. Oh wait, not home. Let's go back to our ads. Okay, so the next campaign I'm going to show is probably one of my new favorite ones. And I did this with my partner, Maya Shattuck, who is going to be streaming later today. It says coming soon right now because it's currently being submitted for a competition, but we are both super excited about it. And Maya's in the comments right now. But yeah, so like it's a campaign that we are super excited about, and a campaign that we have really tried to work super hard on, put a lot of diligence in. So I'm gonna stop talking and just click on it. Okay, so it's for Teen Vogue and the Case for Her. And basically the ask in the brief was, how do we destigmatize conversations about like personal pleasure? So I'm going to I'm going to go through our slides, and then I'm going to play the case study video because I believe that is very important in showing how it works. But let's go into the situation. So in a society where sex ed is dismal at best and personal pleasure is best kept between you and your bed sheets, it's no wonder that nearly 60% of women fake orgasms during sex. But the problem starts far before that. From a young age, society and education teaches us that sex is shameful, pleasure is punishable, and anything having to do with that is taboo. So when option and preference aren't a part of the conversation, how could anyone expect to reach a conclusion? So our audience of Teen Vogue is 14 to 24 years old. They want to feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves, and they tend to rely on identity labels to do so. they kind of want these ways of like latching onto things and being like, I am this co-star, Myers-Briggs, etc. So they're already more comfortable with sex than any generation before them. They are advocates of this. They like to talk about sexual liberation, and they consume media en masse, but it's not about reaching them, it's about making them listen. So how we did that was we created our own personality test, and I'm going to just go and play the case study video. Let me go and expand. I don't know if it's going to do it, but I'll just go play it again. And hopefully.
From a young age, society teaches us that sex is shameful, and personal pleasure is best kept between you and your bed sheets. So it's no wonder that nearly 60% of women fake orgasms during sex. But when option and preference aren't a part of the conversation, how could anyone expect to reach a climax? That's why Teen Vogue and The Case for Her are giving Generation Z sex education within a structure they know and love, a personality test. Introducing the Personal Pleasure Test, Myers-Briggs' Naughty Best Friend. This is the first self-report quiz that comprehensively categorizes sexual preferences and personality into one of 16 pleasure profiles. Discovered through Instagram and co-star placements, users are prompted to answer questions through swiping across 4 main categories: physicality, mentality, intimacy, and experimentation. The synthesis of their responses generates a pleasure profile, which speak not only on their approach to sexual activity, but also.
Sorry about that. Let me try refreshing this page for you guys. But yeah, so our whole idea from that was, to create this application within Teen Vogue that would give you a kind of your own pleasure profile yourself, and just a way to kind of like identify yourself through these different characters that will be made. And hopefully it loads from this. My Wi-Fi is kind of spotty.
From a young age, society teaches us that sex is shameful, and personal pleasure is, but also exercises of confidence, practices, and fetishes they should explore. Next, users can input their Myers-Briggs, horoscope, and Enneagram results for an analysis of how these identities interact, as well as access shareable social assets and content specific to their profile. Users can easily discover their profile's compatibility with friends and lovers by sharing their results directly or finding new playtime companions when they connect their profiles to dating apps like Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble. This branded content is extended across Teen Vogue and The Case for Her's website to learn more, as well as their social channels through YouTube and Instagram series that spotlight each profile and those who want to speak on their personal experiences under it. The Personal Pleasure Test gives our audience's journey to nurture, develop, and explore their sexuality structure while setting the stage for these conversations to become a destigmatized part of everyday life. This means more communication, more consent, and more pleasure for everyone willing to play along.
Cool. So that was Pleasure Profiles, and it's definitely become one of my favorite campaigns, just because it's been so fun to make the actual characters. And I'm sure Maya can agree that we put in a lot of effort into this campaign and a lot of care, because it's also something that we care about ourselves. But I'm just going to take just like one more moment to just pay close attention to the little guys we have. So we have the victor, the giver, the lover, the self-service, etc. Maya named these and I designed them. So yeah, I think the case study video pretty much summed it up in the ways that it needed to. So you can go and exit them now. Let's see, what else did I have for ads? Okay, so another campaign that Maya and I did was Modern Love. So it's a bit of a throwback. If you guys have went to our Portfolio 2 critiques, this was a campaign that we had in Portfolio 2, Modern Love. It's a New York Times column and podcast retelling real love stories, real close up. So originally we only had these print. And it was kind of more about people witnessing real love stories, but now we wanted it to be this actionable thing where you could get up close, but also personal with them. So in the copy that Maya wrote, a podcasting column that lets you get up close and personal with love through real love stories, real close up, fall in modern love. So I'm going to refrain from playing the case study because I don't want it to be glitchy like before. But we have print and then billboards as well. These would be kind of like silhouettes, like you could take a peek into the actual like building and like the love that's happening in there. We'd also have stickers that would call attention to the column. So it would say something in discreet places like lean in closer, and then it would finish off with a quote from Modern Love against the window pane, and remember my time with James. I felt a tiny pinata burst into my heart. Some Gorilla as well. We would attach like cups onto walls, like you would be like listening inside, and it would be playing one of the podcasts. But all of this would lead up to this new immersive experience that we added onto the event. Again, shout out to Maya for being an amazing partner. But yeah, so it would lead to this immersive event called A Night in Love. So it is a multi-level immersive experience, and for a limited time, guests can get first-hand encounters with the stories that our column shares and those around them in day-to-day lives. So level 1 would be about observation, level 2 about sharing, level 3 interaction, and level 4 creation, and we get into those in later slides. So first off, there would be a live performance on the first floor. So this first floor experience is centered around observation. So you see this room kind of being depicted into a scene of a popular modern love piece, and you get to see actors performing moments from it, and guests are welcome to move around the space, interacting both with the elements of the set and shaping the way the piece is performed based on those movements. We'd also have on the second floor a dark room. So this is all about kind of putting our guests into this darkness and giving them this way of like empowering them to share intimate and vulnerable stories within kind of like this confined space, almost like dinner in the dark is kind of what we were going for there. Love dice, this was kind of a fun thing because we know that card games are really big right now in lifestyle, card games, ways to interact with people. So we wanted to create our own modern love dice. So as guests enter the third floor, it becomes that interaction where they find a series of tables featuring sets of love dice, a 2-dice game of our design that aims to foster intimate conversations around themes modern love explores through varied and surprising communication styles. So one of the dice would be like, oh, talk about roll dice heartbreak, but do it in roll dice, create a dance. That would be an interesting dance. But I mean, I think it'd be good. Anyways, love and letters. So in advance of the show, our readers are invited to submit letters, old or new, that they aren't able or willing to share with the person they're writing for. So this is the level about creation. So as the guests reach this final floor, they'll find these physical remnants of love presented in 3 sections based on themes like heartbreak or longing. And as they move through the space, guests are provided materials to write and submit their own letters for future inclusion as well. After the event, love dice will be able to be shared and love and letters will be released as a column, which is cool. So I believe that maybe all I want to share right now in the ad space, but you can check all of my other campaigns out at kianafernandez.com. I have all of them in there. Oh, I see more people in the comments. Hello again, guys. Thank you so much again. But let's go to my passion projects because I want to kind of go over briefly each one. So I do make zines, and I actually have some of them with me today. So I Am What I Eat was a zine exploring my personal cultural connection to food as told by snacks and dishes that have followed me throughout my life. So this was actually also in part of a presentation I did at BBHLA this past summer, kind of talking about my relationship with food and how it connects to my culture, but also kind of my disconnect in the commodification of food. And it's just talking about my experience within that, and the zine was something that was released alongside that. But yeah, so this was dedicated to my family, which they're watching right now, I'm pretty sure. So I'm gonna read just like one of them. So kura, the text you reply with when mama asks you what to cook when you come home to visit, ask her to make it with crunchy jif, which is a peanut butter dish. So yeah, a bunch of snacks. I have like the KVRX zine, which I made because I was graphics director there last semester. So yeah, we made just like a zine to be released at the last concert. But yeah, so let's go to, I also do DJing. My radio show is called DWA DJing While Asian. It's an entirely student-run radio station, but my show is called DWA because it's an exploration of different genres by Asian musicians, country by country. So yeah, and then I made all of my branding for that and everything, and I do that alongside two of my friends. I had a YouTube channel whenever I was in high school. We don't really have to go much into that, but I did have a YouTube channel and it was like a lifestyle channel, but it kind of helped me understand how to like create content, and I was able to collaborate with different brands through it, and it was a good time in high school. And then, so a recent thing I want to talk about is art creation and production design. So some people on the team who are a part of the Color Complex are in the chat right now. So hello, guys. But the Museum of Color was one of the museums that I curated and did production design for. So it was a community-driven interactive art exhibit, and it was launched by the research collective Women of Color led the Color Complex. And they actually won the presidential award at UT for global learning. And they were able to go to Ghana and do research about the negative effects of colorism on a global scale. So I was a part of the team to do social for it. And one of the social campaigns was to create this museum that would kind of show these physical remnants of colorism and what it represents to people. And I had a piece in this as well. So I'm just gonna go through, we have a case study here as well, but I'll just go and skip through that. You can watch it if you'd like. But we were able to get a lot of engagement from the student body and also people feeling very touched about these personal stories of what these objects mean, otherwise mundane objects, but something now they can point to and be like, that's a personal experience to me. And this is like a collective that is very near and dear to my heart. And yeah, like Rebecca, I see her in the chat, who did production design, or she was lead of the event. And she recruited me for doing production design and art curation for it. So hello, Rebecca. Oh, Henry's also in the chat, who did this amazing sculpture that was interactive and people could share kind of what colorism was to them and how it affected them in their lives. And that's the team. So I think I might just go over, well, I guess I'll also briefly talk about virtual critique. Me, Maya, and the leadership team and the critique week team were the ones who kind of pulled this shindig together, and it's kind of crazy how it's working, and it doesn't even feel like I'm streaming right now. It's interesting, but yeah, so yeah, Texas Creative Fest, that's what we're doing right now. And the last thing I want to show is something that's pretty recent. I hope I'm not going over time or anything, but I do visual poetry. So visual poetry is a term that I coined to describe a collection of images that elicit particular feelings of nostalgia when combined together. And I began making poems as a fun way to reminisce and create these dreamy visuals of the things I love most in life, the way the light shines at dawn, my friends, my family, meals I don't want to forget, etc. So at the beginning of April, I began making visual poems to anyone who wanted one because I made some before and I got like some responses. And then so I would be like, oh, I can use photos from your Instagram or photos you send me. So I did that, and actually like a lot of people ended up getting one. And actually there's a lot of people in the chat who purchased one, which is really awesome. So yeah, here's some of them. It's loading right now, but I really enjoy collaging. It's like one of my favorite things to do. It's very calming to me. I apologize to anyone who got a poem from me in the past few days, and I have not gotten back to them because I've been working on critique stuff, but that will come in the near future. But yeah, and then, so yeah, that's visual poetry. And then, let's see. I will talk about, I guess, just maybe one more thing. So I was going to be a MAPE 2020 fellow. Well, I guess I still am. But my internship to Anomaly New York unfortunately got rescinded, as did many other people. But this was the application for me. It was to create an artist rebrand, and I did one for Terror Pigeon, which is an electro pop group that is very chaotic, and I really wanted to encapsulate that in this design. So, key visuals in print. Yeah, this is that. It was just super fun to make these key visuals. I'm reading the comments as well. Final design, one of the names is Live It Up Before You Die It Up, which is a funny name to me. CD design, billboard design, merchandise, Spotify, social media, and I believe that's it. And I think that's pretty much like all of the things I wanted to go through. There's not much really I wanted to talk about, but yeah, like if you guys want to look through my book further, feel free to go to kianafernandez.com and book a Calendly appointment with me if you want to have a one-on-one session with me. I'm open to a bunch of opportunities, so that would be lovely. So I'm going to just, I guess, leave now. But yeah, I'm going to maybe just keep this stream on a little longer just so I can read through the comments, but I'm just gonna like stop my audio and stop my video. But I wanna say thank you guys so much again for coming. This was really awesome. And thank you guys for like streaming TXC Fest in general. Me and Maya were like the leads for it, and we've had such a great time connecting with everyone on the leadership team, as well as the Critique Week team and everyone in Texas Creative in general. We were actually talking about this earlier, how like we don't feel like we've ever been this connected to Texas Creative before. Like, even though it's something that did seem unfortunate at first, and we were super, upset about it at first because we already had a concept going. But yeah, we were super, super happy. People are asking to sing Mokabon. Okay, but thank you guys so much again. And go stream the other streams. Stream Maya later, stream everyone. But yeah, thank you guys. I am going to stop my video and mute myself. Bye.